Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
How
you
are
can hear
you
me,
doing?
right?
Well, good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
we're
can hear
hearing you
you
loud and clear.
loud and clear.
My, my mic is not connecting up properly. Well,
But we're
Okay.
hearing you.
so we'll get it.
We're hearing you loud and clear.
Okay. We'll just
How are you doing? How are
go
you
ahead and
doing?
let me switch it up. Yeah, get this right. Let's see.
You're connecting there?
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay,
Can you
great.
hear me?
How are you doing?
Good.
Sounds
Good.
good.
It's
You
good.
looks
Good.
good. Sounds
Good is
good.
good. You look good. As
Okay, thank you
you
very
always
much.
look great.
I appreciate that.
You got to share
So,
it with the
my sound
audience.
pretty good here?
You got to share it with the audience. What is the secret that keep you looking so amazing?
A lot of rest. A lot of rest.
A lot of
Not
rest.
stress.
Okay.
And peace. And peace. I think people don't take enough time to clear their head from all the junk that goes on
Mhm.
around them. And I think that they let that drag them down. With me, I
Mhm.
sort of just take it as it comes. I think you can immediately do something about, you do try to make attempt to do that. And if you can't, then, you let that go. So that's where my whole life has sort of gone. And
Mm-hmm.
it allows me
Mm-hmm.
not to be stressed out.
True, 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 true. Because
Yeah.
many times, the stress, it really tells and shows up in our body language, on our body, the way we speak.
Right. Right.
The stress show up
Absolutely.
in different forms.
Yes. I
And
agree 100%.
yeah, and many times sometimes we asking ourselves, why are we behaving like this? Because we don't normally behave like that, but because we are so stressed out, that is why we start to behave like that. And
Yes.
that is going to lead us back now to the subject the topic we are dealing with tonight,
Absolutely.
because the body keeps the score, you
It
know,
does.
the
It it
body
it
keeps
it, it,
the
it, it
score
gains its
when
own
the
version of trauma.
right when the mind tends to forget,
Yeah.
but the
Exactly.
flesh remembers.
Uh huh.
The
Hello.
flesh
It does.
remembers everything that happened since he
Hello.
was born,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure right
you
now.
know, and because of
Okay,
that,
call you back.
you
Okay,
you
good.
you find that there are so many things happen in our lives as we live.
Right. Right.
Since 1 year old, 2 year old, we started our interaction with our parents, our family members. All of these interactions start to happen, but remember,
Mhm.
at that point in time, we can't defend ourselves,
Absolutely.
and we observe all of these things that is happening in our lives at that period of our
Yes.
lives,
Yes.
and it get deposit into our nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And many times we would go to the doctor, we're getting back pain, we're getting migraine, IBS, so many things start to break down in the body. And sometimes when we go to the doctor can't even know exactly what's even wrong with us. You do all of these tests and nothing is
Yes.
showing up.
Yes.
Nothing
Absolutely
is
right.
showing up in these tests. And then we're asking ourselves, what is really going on with our body? But remember, the part of you that is very honest is your body.
Huh?
Your body is so honest with you. Your body gonna tell you exactly what's happening because it's honest enough to let you know as an individual what is
Yes.
happening within the structure. It's
Yes.
honest. You're
You
gonna
can't
try to
cheat it.
suppress it, but it's gonna show up because it's honest.
Absolutely.
So, what are
Absolutely.
you doing as an individual? If you're tuning into this podcast this evening, we really want you to sit back and just to relax, have a notepad, have a pen, because we're going to give you some questions to ask yourself. You know,
Mm.
how are you really showing up for yourself, for your family, and for the world? How are you showing up? Are you showing up and you're struggling to show up? Because remember, you're suppressing so many things within your life. that you can never show up being an authentic individual. That is why the slightest things trigger you off. Because there's things that is sitting there, and once it show up, it's going to trigger you. And how are you dealing with that trigger? Are you blaming the next person, or are you looking at yourself as an individual and asking yourself the question, why is this triggering me? Why I am being triggered with this situation? Because there is a reason why you're being triggered.
Yeah.
But many times we are running from that question because we don't want to ask ourselves, we don't want to go through that pain and ask ourselves, why is this bothering me? And why this topic came up, because in Bloom Again, Tea Talk and Transformation, we realized that the clients that we are dealing with, we realize, you know what? This is coming up often with these clients. It's surfacing often with these clients because it's a lot of suppression happened for years. We live and we keep burying stuff all the time. We keep burying stuff. And you know what? The things that happen in our childhood is not our fault. It's not our fault. And we need to forgive our parents because they only teach us what they know. But we become adults. We now can take that responsibility and that accountability and start to make the changes that we want to see in our lives. That is why we always say it starts with us. As individuals, it starts with us. We can correct ourselves because we see things now, we understand things, we are allowing things to come up, we are addressing things, we are going through that healing phase so we can really understand the process. Because if you run from it, you're going to run right back to it until you address it.
Yeah.
That is why many times things are going around in loop in our lives. And then we're asking ourselves, why does this keep happening to me so often? It's happening in a loop because you may run away from one relationship here and you run right back into the same type of relationship. And then you're asking yourself, why does this keep happening to me? Because there's something you need to address in your life. But many times what we do, we blame people because we don't want to go through that pain. So we always cast the blame on someone else. But this evening, we want you to sit with yourself. Look at yourself. Look at all the things that keep coming up and coming to the surface in your life. Write it down and start to address it. Because it's only you can answer those questions. Only you could be honest with yourself and answer those questions so you can be able to come out from that loop. Because it's a loop. Anytime you think you exit, you're back in. Anytime you think you exit the loop, you're back in the loop. Not knowing you're still in the loop, but you think you're coming out from the loop. Because the mind going to tell you, yes, you could run, but you're running back into the loop. But you know what? There is hope. You can address it. We all have to address what's paining us. Whatever difficulties we are facing at this point in time in our lives, we have to say to ourselves, you know what? It's time. It's time to come out from the victimhood. Because we always blame ourselves. We are a victim of this. We are a victim of that. We are a victim of that. But you know what? We are adults. We understand. And we can correct ourselves. So this evening, we want you to just sit here in this space. And if you know somebody who is going through a real rough time at this period of their lives, we highly suggest that you share with this podcast and invite them into this space so they can come and they could take away some point to this evening. Maybe it's a strategy that they can take away as a tool to help themselves through the period of healing. So I'm going to toss the mic now. I am Karen Pascal, the Hinda Heart Coach. And I'm going to toss the mic now to Joan Williams. Joan, take the mic.
Great opening for you both and well. And yeah, this is where we are. And tonight is not about blame, about anything.
No. Mm.
Tonight is a night of empowerment, shall we say? A night of empowerment for you to do, who want to do introspection, do some reflection, and see where you are. Yes, we all may go through trauma at different points of our life when we experience trauma. But that is part of your story. But this is a moment and this is a chance that you can course correct, that you can move to the stage of healing. Because what healing does for you, healing open up new pathway, a door for a level of freedom, a door for a level of enjoyment and happiness. And it gives you a level of clarity that you can see and show up fully and show up with your true authentic self so that you can able to enjoy the level of life, the life that you really deserve. Because as you move through life and if you're carrying through trauma and it's not healed, unhealed trauma, everything is being buried. You suppress everything, as you rightfully said, Karen. And you're not able to function to the capacity that you really should really give of your true self. But when you can unload and you can unburden that and you can say to yourself, yes, this is my story, it's part of my story, it's part of my journey, but I don't have to stay there, I don't have to live there, because there is a better life beyond this space that I'm in. And when you can recognize that and you can embody that and say, I want more for me, because I think because until you make that conscious choice, until you make that decision that it's time, right? I have been carrying this for too long. It's been weighing on me. I feel heavy laden. I feel burdened. When you make that conscious choice and you say, I'm going to do this for me, because it starts with you. And when you make that choice, you decide you to make that conscious child, that conscious choice that whatever way that I have to become healed, whether you go coaching, whatever is it for you, you make that choice. You become a different person. You become whole. You can experience love on a different level. You love yourself more. You practice more self-care. You're leaning more into your inner self where you can draw wisdom and understanding. And you could show up and live in your best life, because until you move to that space, then you're just surviving. And whatever is standing between you surviving and thriving, there is where the work has got to be done. Because I think the best is that we all want to thrive. We want to live our best. And we want to show up fully. And so that people can experience our best, who we really truly are. And when you reach that level, you can enjoy the bliss because you get better relationships. You thrive better because you can collaborate better. You can get better results in so many different areas of your life. So tonight, sit back, relax, and as we have our program which we call coaching program which we call Bloom Again, and it's tea talk and transformation. So whether you sipping hot tea or you're sipping a cold iced tea or whatever it is for you, sit back, relax, and enjoy this show, because we're going to uncover. We got a great guest in the house, which he's always whenever we share space with him, he bring it home, he nail it down, he expand our toolbox and our toolkit so that we can able to learn more and grow more in leading with his conversation. So journaling is important. So grab your pen, grab your pad, get a comfortable space in your home, and just relax and enjoy this hour. I'm Joan Williams, your in the Heart Coach. And please don't forget to sign up for our magazine, Start Healthy, because we're working on it. We're going to get some great topics out for you coming up. And also, don't forget to, because you got to stay healthy. Focus on your gut is so important. We always talk about that, because one of the things that is important is that for us to enjoy we talk about healing, but for you to enjoy and live life fully, You got to focus on your gut. You got to focus on your microbiome. You got to choose the right kind of foods, because don't forget the gut brain axis. You want to eliminate brain fog. So those are some of the things we always talk to you about. But I'm your host, Joan Williams, and co-host with Karen, and Will. So you in for a great show tonight. Also, I'm the Hinder Heart Coach as well. And you may say, what is the Hinder Heart Coach? Well, as you will also continue to learn more about that. It's a great energy. And so we just decided to change things up a bit. So welcome, 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 welcome to all of you that subscribe to our YouTube channel, and all the great information that you share with us as well. We just love you all, love you all. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Well, the mic is over to you.
Very much. As I usually say when I'm on the show with both of you, it's you that I have trouble following. Okay. So that was a good introduction, and
Thank
and
you.
right to the point of what the topic is. Okay, trauma uh, comes in a lot of different forms,
Mm-hmm.
and as you just mentioned, see, everybody's trying to sell more and collect more clients and customers today because of where the economy is, and they're trying to do the best they can for their business. But without the mental, and as you just mentioned there, Joan, the attributes of eating the proper food, you're not going to function well.
Right.
So, I know you ladies have done shows on diets and things like that before, but I think, especially right now, I think what would be good is for people to know that they need to eat properly in order to get to where they really want to go. Because I mean, you can obtain the spiritual aspect of it, or religion, if you're into religion, but if you don't feed this body, this form that you have, your
Mm-hmm.
spirit is still going to function because it doesn't need this body. But you need this body while you're here in this material form. And so you have to feed it in order for the mind to work properly too. There are so many things that you can do with your brain that you may not, as Karen mentioned something about a little bit about the brain having brain fog. If you're not eating the proper foods and you having lapses like that, if you just change just a couple of things that you eat, you'll realize that you're sharper than you think you are. You can remember more things than you think you're
Mm-hmm.
capable of remembering. But you're sort of having to defeat your own, set goals that you have because you're not preparing properly. Top athletes spend a lot of time getting in shape and conditioning their bodies for the long, grueling season that they're playing in, or to be at the top of their game. And you have to do the same thing in your daily life, in business, in social settings. You have to be at the top of your game. And if you want to do that all the time, you have to eat better to do that. That's the only way you can get there. And if you're not eating the proper foods, you're eating a lot of stuff that's dragging you down, you're not having proper blood flow or anything like that, then that's going to slow you down. But today I want to talk more to you, with you, and to you about trauma. And so I wanted to get into that too because both ladies alluded to that, and I want to throw that in so they could, some kind at some point here and in the near future, bring a show to fruition to talk about how you need to eat properly in order to get to where you want to go. If you want
Right.
your business to increase, you got to fuel you in order to get there. Now, trauma comes in many different forms. I should say first of all, I'm Will Williams, usual guest on this show. And so I don't go into a lot more detail because people have seen me enough on the show now that they know enough about me. I don't have to do anything but say my name, and they kind of, waiting for us to get into the presentation. So this is going to be a fast show though, because this is a Wednesday show, and I know you ladies are in and out. So this is going to be like an hour-long show. And but the information that I have for you is going to be direct, and you will be able to grasp this because I'm going to bring it to you in a format where we're talking language that everybody can connect to. So, I speak a lot about the words I use and how language is important and the frequency and that kind of thing. But when I speak to you, especially with what we're talking about right now, trauma, I want you to truly understand what it actually is. And I know everybody has experienced it, but dealing with it is a whole nother thing. And we're going to give you some solutions to that before the end of the show through this conversation. But trauma can come in all forms. You know,
Sure.
it can be created from an event, a situation, a discussion. Somebody may say something to you, and you may be, as Karen mentioned at the top of the show, you may be dragging something from your childhood all the way up to now where you are in the present time as an adult from your parents or some other family member, you know, caused some type of trauma to you. So that's the emotional memory. I talked about that a little bit before, where things that happen to you, you keep them. And she mentioned this as well. That's why everything seems familiar to you, because you can take yourself back to that moment, in that moment, and relive it as though it's happening right now. So that's called the emotional moment, because your brain is playing it back as though it's a movie. And so when we talk about trauma, you can get trapped in that loop. There's something else that Karen mentioned. You get trapped in a loop, and you just replay it over and over and over. And every time that you do replay it, it's going to be as though it's actually happening in real time right now. Because you have to remember the past, the present, and the future. Thin lines between them. It's not something that's like 20 years ago. Whatever happened 15, 20 years ago, it replays to you immediately and right now. And as it does that, it triggers your body to respond to that, because you can see it playing out in your mind, and then your body relives how you felt at that moment. So that's why I try to tell people, if you're going to tap into that, replace that bad feeling that you have with a good moment in your life that you just really, and I just wrote an article about this too, where you really feel the joy that you had from a moment in time. And I guarantee you, if you look back at one moment that really made you feel really, really good, even if it's in your childhood, it could be something from Christmas or just a moment with embracing a family member at a gathering or something, or seeing something. But if you relive that moment, I guarantee it'll bring you to tears. Because we live in such a chaotic world right now that moments like that are rare. And so when you go back to a moment like that, that memory is so powerful that it will make you think about life.
Right.
And as Lady J likes to mention a lot of gratitude, which I just wrote an article about that too. Because if you can appreciate what you have, where you are right now, and it's something really small, but if you can actually truly appreciate it, I guarantee you, your emotions, they both mention heart. Your heart energy will tap into that moment, and you will feel a chill go through your body that it will experience that moment. You'll know what joy is. So that's why when you have a traumatic situation come up, you have to remove yourself from that negative aspect of what happened to a more positive review of what happened afterwards. Because as both ladies have mentioned, you are the beginning stages to your recovery, right? Which I'm going to talk a little bit more deeper about that as we get to the end. But to heal, you're going to need a community to heal fully. You need people to support you. Now, they don't have to engage with you and you replay that moment back to them by speaking it all the time. But you need to know that they understand and show you that they support you. So you're not taking them all the way through how you feel about it, but they just offer you a little bit of, are you all right today? It will be okay. You know, tomorrow's another day. They'll give you little instances of I'm here for you, I'm with you. That helps you heal. Now, when we talk about trauma, we're talking about things that happen, they can happen emotionally, physically, and mentally, and medically too. You can have medical trauma too. And so these things are different, but it's something that you experience on a personal level that everybody around you may not even have an understanding of. So let's say you had a medical moment of trauma where some aspect of your life had to change. Now, everybody around you feels like, well, okay, that's happened now. They fixed you and you should be okay. But it's not the same. because
Right.
some aspect of you have been lost, and you're trying to regain how you move forward
Mm-hmm.
through that. So that's not going to be that easy. Now, like I said, everybody around you thinks it is, but you personally, you're struggling, and so you need their support outside of the. You don't need them to be negative to you. You need them to be positive, uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
They need to reinforce your healing. That's the only way you can make it completely back. Now, if you're able to start your journey to heal, now you will. When you replay that moment, if you do go back, it won't be so much as, okay, I'm damaged in some type of way, because you're going to accept that that's happened, but you'll also replace that with, this is what happened after that. So I am better. I'm not stuck in a victim role to where I'll just keep replaying that aspect of it to where it traps me. That's where you don't want to be, because that's when trauma then loads up on you, and you don't make full recovery from it. You're always somewhere replaying it. You have days where you get out of bed and you get your day started, and for some strange reason you'll go back. And in that moment of going back, it ruins the whole day for you, because now
Right.
your energy, as far as being, oh, this is going to be a great day, I'm charged up and ready to go, I'm rested. Now it's, but that thing happened to me. So you can't fully come back after that. You've already spoken it into existence. That's how
Right.
you're going to feel for the day. And once the subconscious gets that I am, and whatever you repeat after it, that's where you are. So it may be. So that's why, like right now, I'm going to say I am. And as I say that I am, I'm speaking to you, but I want you to put behind whatever you want to happen or be or do. That's for you to put in place, not me. I'm just talking to your subconscious and saying that I am. So it recognizes that. It immediately has sparked up, and it's listening to that, waiting for you to put in what's going to go behind that. So what you need to do right now is speak that into you. You're speaking life into you. Spirit is ready. It's waiting on you to decide what you want to do with the body form, because you are a spirit. Okay. So when trauma happens to you, and like I mentioned, there's all type of forms of trauma. It can happen through different phases of your life in different ways, but you need to realize that you're not the only one. That's where people go wrong when they have trauma, is they single themselves out saying, this only happened to me.
Mhm.
All over the world, if you're in this human form, this body that we have, you've suffered some form of trauma. It may not be as vicious as somebody else's form of trauma that they had put on them, but in some way you have experienced trauma, whether it was a bully at school bothering you every other day, or maybe one of your friends betrayed you. So you've all experienced, but you can't get trapped there. That's why sometimes you hear people talking, you start talking about friendship, and they'll go down the road of, well, I had this best friend one time and they did me wrong. So guess what? They can't have another best friend. They'll say it, but they don't mean it, because in their brain, their subconscious is saying, we can't trust anybody. They'll hate us again. And then all the other voices that speak, the auditory voice, that little voice that you hear all the time speaking, it'll tell you, well, no, we can't go there. Then the conscious will jump in and say, hey, I want to go over here, and we can actually do this. We can make friends. But the auditory voice that you hear, and then the subconscious will form a little temporary partnership, and they'll say, no, we can't do that. So guess what? You have no best friend.
Yeah.
And you may not even have a circle of friends at all, because you may eliminate them completely, because you feel like you can't open yourself up to be done like that again. That choked me up. You don't trust anybody to do you like that.
Right.
It hurts. So you won't open yourself up like that. So you never experience that feeling of what it's like to have a really good friend the rest of your life, because you won't let people get close enough. Even in your relationships where you should have, that person should be able to be close to you. You'll block them too. You put up walls. You let them only get so close, and the rest of the way they're blocked. They can't obtain who you really may be. They'll get pieces of you, but obtaining the true you, you'll never show them that because you feel like you're going to get hurt. So you don't open up because you're thinking at some point they will hurt me, so I can't trust them. Now, from a religious aspect, because I have to throw this in, and I'm going to talk about spirituality too, right after I mention it. But religiously, because we have, people from all over the world and different type of religions worship whatever they decide they want to worship and follow there. But in the Bible, in other books, because all these religions are based off of pretty much the same books. But in Psalm 34:18, it talks about a broken heart and you resetting your heart energy with God, right? Whatever you consider God to be. If you can take that and read that psalm, it will help encourage you that you can recover and make a comeback. You only need something to lift you up in order to get to where you want to go. You just can't declare it, because if you just declare it and say, I'm going to be all right, if you don't have a system where you believe when you speak these words, it's true, then they can't be true. So you can't hold the energy that it's going to require for you to make any movement or transformation to recover. So you have to actually believe it. When you speak it, it has to be a belief, not a faith, a belief. Those two things, as I always mention, are different. And so you have to speak it with a belief system behind it to say, this is my foundation. If I say this, it's true. And it becomes true as you start to move into that emotion and feeling from that and trust. If you trust you and you unconditionally can love you, there's not going to be much that you won't be able to obtain. It may take some time, but that's okay, because you can still move in the direction of acquiring it. Now, I mentioned Psalms 34:18, right? Also, you go to Psalms 119:30, and it talks about complexity and support, right, and suffering. Now, as I mentioned, we all go through these things. You experience it, but you can come back. You can come back, because I'm going to show you how you do that in a little bit. But my next deal is spirituality. Now, when you have trauma, it opens the doorway for you to have an awakening.
Yes.
And when you have that awakening, it's just going to be you that experiences it. But here's the thing about awakenings that most people don't want to. Everybody don't want to talk about this part of it. But when you go through an awakening, you also enter the phase of the dark night of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's heard of this, and people speak of it in a format of it's something scary. It makes you lose whoever you thought you were. You lose that person, and you're going to start completely over from scratch when you go through a dark night of the soul. Now, it's also going to test you, because it's going to push you to the brink where you're going to want to give up. You don't feel like there's anything for you to stick around here for or get up the next morning for. And so you're going to be on the brink of shutting down completely and wanting to get out of here, because the dark night of the soul is not going to play with you. It's going to expose all parts of you, the good, the bad, the ugly, the ones that you don't want to accept as you, and the parts of you that you accept as you, and the parts of you that you kind of, I kind of accept that, but that's what I really need. Your shadow self is going to show up. And when it does, that's the part of you that you're going to try to get away from. But when you're in the grips of the dark night of the soul, whatever trauma you've experienced to get there, it opens you up. So you can't escape it. So you're going to have when you go into the dark night of the soul, it's going to take you to a place that you didn't even think existed, where you're going to experience the feel, so to speak, the energy that's actually here that you don't see, but you will now tap into that. It's going to show you that. You're going to see things that you won't be able to discuss with other people, because it's you that's seeing this. And if you tell somebody, they can't. If they haven't experienced an awakening, they have no clue what you're talking about.
Right.
So
right,
true, so true.
right,
They look at you like, come on, that didn't happen. Maybe you were sleeping.
right,
Tell me,
right,
you took some drugs and
right.
you smoked some of that goody goody, did you smoked some good. So they'll think that you're taking something,
Mhm.
but it's not. Trauma will trigger the dark night of the soul because you're gonna awaken. That's the part of the healing process that you have to
Mm-hmm.
do. You see? So when you start to recover, the dark night of the soul is going to come right after you awaken, after you see all of this light, because that's what's going to happen too. You're going to see a light, and the world is going to open up to you. Now, it depends on what journey you want to go upon and recognize once you see the light. Okay, it may push you further into religion if you decide that's the way else you want to go, or spirituality, or whatever else you believe in that's to work for you, because this is an individual journey.
Right.
As it pushes you in that direction, it also awakens you to what that direction is going to unfold for you. So you're going to have questions. You're not going to just accept things for what you're being told. You're going to want to know, because it's going to open you up to receive that type of information.
Right.
And when it does, your life changes. You're going to be a totally different person when you come back. Okay? But you'll have the same form, but you spiritually, inside, you are going to be a totally different person. You will see the world for what it really is and how it really exists, instead of what you've been told it is, how you've accepted it to exist. That's a whole different thing. So trauma is devastating when it happens, okay? But as I mentioned, you can come back from trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take some time. Sometimes it may take you a while before you come all the way back,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to come in bits and pieces as you start to
Mm-hmm.
recover. And no matter which trauma you experience, whether it's medical, mental, physical, whatever it is, it's going to take time for you to clear
Mm-hmm.
and completely come back. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody around you, while you're making these adjustments, they're not going to see you the same. They're trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what's going on with you, and they're telling you, "Hey, you seem like you're kind of down today,"
Mm-hmm.
because you are. You really are.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have days when you get up and you say, like, "Okay, today is, like I mentioned, today is a great day," and it won't be because somebody else said something to you. It's because the layers of who you were are falling away.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're trying to hold on to them because you think that's your true identity,
Yes.
Right.
but it's not
Right.
gonna let you do that. That trauma triggered you into the direction that you should have already been on that pathway to, because your journey and your purpose, there's no set in stone way for you to follow that or get into that path. It's going to be
Absolutely.
everything you ever experience is part of your journey. So even your
Yes.
trauma, that's part of the journey. But see,
Yes.
you don't want to accept that because you think everything is supposed to be good. But good and bad is a human concept, a construct created by man. There's no such thing as good or bad unless you decide to, that's good, this is bad. And if you look at the world real closely, you can see it play out. No matter how some, you can see it in politics, you can see it in the business world, you can see it in entertainment. No matter where you look, you can see the good and the bad play out. It just depending on what direction they're trying to message you. But the journey, as Karen mentioned, it's on you to recover.
Mm-hmm.
So your healing can only start with you. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
move in the direction that you want to heal, then there's not going to be a support system in place
Right.
to support that. You're going to be on your own completely all of the time. So that's why sometimes you see people and you talk to them, and ask them, well, who you have, who are your friends, or what you and your friends do. They can't talk to you about that because they don't have any. They
Uh-huh.
shut them out because they have refused to allow themselves to heal. And if we're going to use the word properly here, yeah, that's part of it, because it's in stages. It don't happen overnight. It's going to be in stages because you're getting put back together as a brand new person.
Mm-hmm.
The new you cannot, they don't have a space for any parts of the old you.
Right.
Those pieces are going to get balled up and thrown away. They're going to be tossed aside, and you will never go back to it. Now you see people sometimes they have some type of traumatic event happen to them, and they feel like, well, okay, I tried to change, just can't do it. So I'm gonna go back over here to what I used to do. And when you see them, they're not what they used to be. They're at a lower place.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is so true.
Because you
Mhm.
can't go back to where you were.
Right.
Because that trauma
So
has
true.
changed you. So you cannot go back to where that spot was
So
where you
true.
felt comfortable at. When you go back there, the for sale sign is out of the front yard. It's been sold, but you don't know that. So you think you can still just, well, okay, it hasn't
So
been sold
true.
yet. I can just
So
move
true.
back in. No, you can't. When
Right.
you go there, you're gonna think that you're back to your old spot, but everybody around you is gonna see you drop down to a lower level, and then there's gonna come one day when you're gonna pass the mirror and look, and you, who is that? Wait a minute,
Mhm.
who is? It's you,
Right. Right.
but you
Right.
won't even recognize you because you're trying to go back to a place that doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, this subject is not talked about a whole lot, and most of the time, you ladies are speakers, so in certain settings, you don't get a chance to even go into this type of conversation because they want to discuss all the surface level stuff. So you have to try to some type of way fit it into a speech or a
Mhm.
setting because that's the only way they're going to have a conversation about it. But no matter what setting you go into to talk to people about, you know, improving themselves or structure or system or whatever they may, want to talk about, trauma is going to be a part of that because within the structure of those groups at a job, for instance, somebody's trying to, trigger you. So they're trying to cause
Mhm.
trauma. You're always going to have somebody that don't like you, and you can't figure
Mhm.
out why this person
Mhm.
don't like you, but they
Mhm.
don't like you. But the
Mhm.
reason that most of that comes back to do is because they see themselves and
And
who they
you.
want to be
Right.
in you,
Mhm.
but they
Absolutely.
can't. But they can't bring themselves to go there because some traumatic event has happened or situation has happened in their life that told them they're not supposed to be that way. So they can't get that. So when they see you, you represent who they would like to be,
Mhm. Right.
and but they can't get there. So the deal then becomes I need to tear them down because that's tearing the part of me who wants to go there. I know I
Mhm.
can't obtain that, so I need to tear that down in order to feel good about
Mhm.
myself.
Yes.
And that's why
Yes.
they'll spend their time gossiping about you, saying bad things about you, planting
Yes.
planting bad information out there about you. I mean,
Yes.
so that's how trauma can break your world and change everything that you think is good about you. It can make you follow and into a person of sadness, of great sadness that you carry with you all of the time.
Mhm.
So I'm glad these ladies decided to do this because, as I mentioned, you don't get a chance
Thank
to
you.
talk about trauma in a whole
Right.
lot of
Right.
settings
Right.
because most people don't want to talk
Yes.
about that because they try to surface level that, okay, there's nothing wrong here. But think about this. If you've ever been at work to where a supervisor didn't like something that you did, or even you as the owner of a business, and you had to talk to somebody, maybe you weren't at your best when you had the conversation with
Mhm.
this person. And so when they started to, set a the way that they procedure down or something that maybe they thought you should do differently, you took that personal. And so you weren't at your best to engage them in a conversation that would have been a good back and forth. It was like, hurry up and get through talking to me and I'll get this done. You just get out of my face.
Right. Right.
So that turns out to be trauma for you and the person that received that. Now, the person that's giving it don't see it that way at the time. The person that received it immediately accepts that.
Mhm.
But the giver, it takes a little while for it to sink in because they're trying to be tough at the title that
Right.
they have, the
Right.
position that they
Right.
hold. But I guarantee you, once they walk away from that and they have enough time to themselves, because there's always somebody bigger than you, always, that's going to treat you
Always.
the same way you just
Mhm.
mistreated somebody else. It's going to come back to you. And it may not be in the same setting, but it's going to come back. And when it
Right.
does, it may be in a setting where there are a lot of people gathered around and nobody was there between you and this other person when y'all engaged. So it's just two of you. But in a different setting, they may get it come back to them in a setting where there's a lot of people around and they get approached in that same manner, or they get set aside at a meeting and called out because the person that's above them puts heat on them about something that they don't like that they're doing, or
Right.
they should be doing more of or better than. And you know, when you're within the structure of a group, the last thing you want to do is be singled out.
Right.
That's why people herd, because they feel safe within the structure of that group. That's why they get in there. They're like, okay, well, I'm in here. You don't really see me, but I'm here. But I'll keep my head down, and
Right.
you talk to everybody else around here, but you don't see me. I'm in here though. So that's why people try to, get themselves into the group to where they can stay safe. But actually, in order for you to reach the goals you want and to recover fully, you're gonna have to step outside of that group. So when you have a traumatic incident happen to you, it's okay that you pull yourself away from that group. Not for long term though, but temporary, enough time for you to start your healing process and figure out who around you will support you in your recovery. Because you're gonna need to recover. That's why a lot of times if you look in the office setting, people may get their feelings hurt and they never recover from that. If they're sitting around with a bunch of friends, they'll say somebody such and such at work, singled me out this time and I felt like this, and I started to say this, but I couldn't say that because I want to keep my job. So I let it go. I just held on to it. So they feel that stress because that's what trauma is. It's a feeling of putting you in a helpless kind of a emotion where it triggers anxiety, feeling of helplessness, and you feel like, oh man, how do I get myself out? But you decided to accept that, and so you can't get yourself out of it until you decide to speak your piece, so to speak. We all say that. So you have to come back to that person and say, "Can I talk to you for a second? I didn't like the way you formatted that toward me. I understood what you wanted to say." You got to put it in a way where it allows you to be you, the adult, where you're not the little kid getting yelled at that you remember from your childhood, and somebody pulled you aside and said, "Hey, you need to tie that shoe up," and you said, "Okay, I'll get it in a minute." You ran on off, and they followed you right on to the next room and said, "I said you need to tie that shoe up," and then they give you a good tongue lash. You tie the shoe up and you whispering under your voice, and that stays with you. So that's why if you get in a setting, it's the same emotion that comes back to you.
Yes.
You feel the same way. So that's why you have to speak up, and you can do that in a form that's not nasty, it's not disrespecting.
True.
You should be able to have agency to where you own you enough to where you can speak to somebody without losing your emotional context
Right.
and composure.
Right.
And if you can't do that, then you need to work on getting yourself to that point. So trauma is a very, it's a bad thing, but it also is something that we all experience. So there's nobody walking the face of the earth that hasn't experienced some level of trauma. And, I wanted to talk, about this in a different format, but as we started the opening and I was looking at my notes on it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave this out and say, so that's why I'm talking to you in a different format, because when people talk about trauma, it's usually long drawn out stories of what happened to them, and they never get to a recovery aspect of it because they're still reliving the pain of it.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to go in that direction, because that's going to trigger somebody who's watching the show, and they're thinking that, okay, I just need to give me some boxing gloves, I need it triggers them into anger of how they felt at that moment. So what I wanted to do was speak to you where it calms you and let you know that everybody else experiences the same aspect of feeling that you have, not in the same manner, but everybody's experienced it in some way, shape, or form. And there are ways for you to come back from it. And I wanted you to know also that as you make your comeback, you're going to have this aspect of the dark night of the soul, whether you're spiritual or not, that's going to happen to you. Now, they've got different terminology for that.
Yes.
If you go into the psycho world, then they're talking about depression and things like that. But all that is dark night of the soul. See, as I mentioned before, words play a part in everything that we do. And
Yes.
words are very powerful. They create. So if you create systems and then use different words, it's coded. You're speaking in code. Because see, here's the thing, and me and Karen talked about this a little bit in the last show I was actually on, but words are spoken in code. It's a language. You know, computers learn what they call large language, and that way they can, you know, learn a whole lot of information fast. But it's all coded language. So when I speak, I'm talking about words as code. Because if you read the Bible, that's why most people don't read it, because they've been told they can't understand it. It's too complicated. It's not complicated. You just have to have comprehension. If you read the words real carefully, it's a simple story. Now, once you break down the simplest of understanding it, now you can see exactly what's going on. So you're not confused by what you've been told and what you're reading. There's no confusion anymore. You can see the light is now entered. And if you go through the dark night of the soul and you turn around and read the Bible, I guarantee you, you won't be calling yourself attached to a religion anymore. You will move away from religion, and your eyes will be so open that religion won't fulfill you. Because you know. Once you know, then everything that happens to you for a purpose, a reason, and an understanding. And that's you live within those contexts. So when something is happening to you, it's not personal. If it's happening at that moment, that's that moment. You'll accept it as such, and you'll move on, because that's not the end of your story. It's just a part of your story. That's all it is. So whatever traumatic injury that you may have suffered, it's just a part of your story. That's all it is. You know, I'm going to close with this. And June 12th, since this is about to be the month of June, I'll never forget this date. June 12th, 2010, I had a injury happen to me. It changed my life, right? And I got this injury on that date. I thought, you know, life was going to be the same, but it changed. It had to. Now, that injury was so severe that it blew out my hernias. I don't have a core group anymore. So I can still work out, but I can't lift heavy weights anymore. So it changed how I can't run anymore. The doctor suggested I don't run, so I walk now. So on that date, my life changed. That was a traumatic medical event, because I had to have 3 surgeries to repair me. So it took me, and I thought about this just last year. It took me 7 years to come back.
Wow.
Because it changed me mentally, emotionally, and physically. So I'm trying to repair myself to my new life in all 3 phases, because now I'm not operating the same. Everything that I used to take for granted, I didn't do that anymore, because it changed how I needed to live moving forward. So it took me 7 years to get all 3 of them realigned, to tap into my spiritual aspect, to where now everything aligned and I understood. It took time to come back from that. So that's why I'm telling you, you need a community that will make that recovery time. Because it took me, I had support around me that cared about me enough to help me through those moments. So even though my life had changed, they wouldn't let me quit.
Right.
You know? So you have to have that. You have to have somebody that's going to be, as you ladies mentioned, a coach. You have to have a coach at that point. Now, the good and bad about coaches is that they're going to push you beyond your comfort. So you're going to dislike them, but that's the coach's job.
Yes.
That way you get the very best of that person. Now, and the person don't realize that at the time that they're experiencing it, but after they come through that fire, they're a different person, and they've reached a monument, a level of success that they can have and obtain for the rest of their life, because now they know what it takes to get there. Because you've been pushed beyond your comfort level, and the things that you used to could not deal with, now you can, and it won't stop you from moving yourself forward. So just remember to build a community around you as you try to make your recovery time from a trauma. And if you can do it, and you got enough people, it don't take a whole lot of people. You just have to have a core group of people that care enough about you that, like I said, they can't help you heal, but they can help you stay on your path to recovery.
Yes.
That's what you need, is them to help you stay on your path, because the days that you doubt that you can do it, they're going to remind you that you can.
Right.
And it may be something very small that they say to you, but that'll be enough to click in your subconscious to say, okay, we need to get back on track to do
Yes.
this. So that's what you're going to need. So now I'd like to bring the ladies back into this conversation. We're having a conversation, so I want to stop.
Will, you touched on some really good pointers, you know, and just listening to you, each one of the pointers that you really nailed the whole topic with, is really important for us to acknowledge this process. The process is not a walk in the park. The process to healing, it requires all of us, for us to really put in the work. That's the action, in order to see the results that we're looking for and to shift that needle with our lives. As Will rightfully said, we all went through something. I could speak for myself, you know, when I was going through that dark night of my soul, you know, there is where I get a lot of clarity. There is where I understand myself more in depth. There is where I came to self-awareness. There is where I understand life. So many things I understand when I was going through that integration period of my the dark night of my soul. But in order for me to understand understand that period of my life, it required me to do things that I could understand myself. It didn't happen just like that. It was painful. It was really, really painful. Because could you imagine that things are happening to you and you don't understand why is these things really happening? You know, you're looking for answers, you're searching, you're looking, but you really don't understand what's happening. But it's until when I start to look within and when I surrender, a lot of things start to click. A lot of things start to make sense. Why is this happening to me? You know, because you know what I need to go through in order to come true. But when we are going through this dark night, it's difficult for us to really understand why we are going through this phase of our lives. As Will rightfully said, it is a spiritual phase. But that is the phase that we need for the clarity of what we're going through. We need that in our lives. That's the only way we can understand what's happening. That's the only way. That's the ingredient that we need. And when we run from it, we're not helping ourselves. It's painful. Yes, we all know it's painful. Sometimes you gotta cry, sometimes you gotta scream. But another good point that Will touched on, we need a support system, and not
Very
any
important.
kind of support system.
Right.
You need a support system who is gonna truly, honestly support you as an individual. Not any kind of support system. Because of course you're in that phase and you're gasping and looking for things that you can hold on to, but you got to know what you're holding on to. You have to be selective of what you're holding on to, because it's not everything you see in that space you're going to hold on to. You got to ask for the spirit of discernment. Because when you're in that phase, you're looking, you're searching, who can I trust? Who can I trust to tell this to? This person, they're going to judge me when I say something to them. It's so many things going to start going through you, you know. But then that is why you got to ask for the spirit of discernment. So that wherever it's lead you to, you can able to, you know what? Well, okay, fine. I can trust this individual. I can trust this space to be open and be vulnerable and share the way how I am feeling. So you have to be selective of people when you're coming out from that phase. You got to be selective of people that you're really going to share yourself with, because that could come back in another format. But another thing too, when you come out from there, it doesn't even matter what somebody else say about you, because that is not you any longer. You have grown, you have evolved from that situation. You are not there anymore. They're still there, but you're not there. You already shifted, you already evolved. So it doesn't even matter what they say about you, as Will was saying. It doesn't matter. But in order for you to reach to that place of awakening, the action, you got to put in the action. You got to journal.
Right.
You got to look at the sensations you're feeling. Write it down. I wake up today, I'm feeling this way. Write it down. You don't have to be on social media. You do not have to respond to messages unless it's really important. But you can take the time to put in the work with your healing process. You can take walks. You could go in nature, because nature gives us a lot of answers that we're looking for.
Right.
You can take your nature walks. Grab yourself an accountability partner. It's a coach. Grab yourself a coach that you can sit with, you can discuss things with, you could feel comfortable with. So all of these are strategies to help you as an individual when you're going through these traumas. When you're walking through this period, you need accountability. As Will rightfully said, somebody who is going to remind you that you made this commitment to yourself. And once this person could remind you, you know what? You said you're going to do this. I'm just here to remind you that this is part of the healing process. So there is a lot of things that need to be done when you're going through this dark night and the healing process. You don't just get up one day and it just all gone and disappear. It don't happen like that. It's not magic like that. You gotta go through this pain. It's painful. I can tell you it's painful. But you know what? When we go through that pain, I can guarantee you will never be the same. You would never be the same. Some people, it may take them weeks. Some people may take them months. Some people take them even longer. But do not judge yourself. Each person is walking on a different path. Some person may heal faster than some. And you cannot look at another person and then start to judge yourself. Oh, I'm taking so long, and Peter or Jane, they heal so fast. No, do not do that to yourself. Do not do that to yourself. Because your level of trauma may be different to Jane trauma.
Of course.
John, take the mic.
Now you both have expanded our toolbox tonight and talking about the different levels and different phases and the right kind of people and the community that you surround yourself with, and those people who are going to hold you up and who are going to support you and really rally around behind you. And which brings me to my own situation, that when I was hospitalized at one time in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a trauma for me. I never share much about it, but I'm just going to share a little bit about it. And I was in intensive care unit, right? And I'm so grateful for my sister, my brother-in-law, and kind friends who supported me, because that there is where the key point is, that you have to have people who is going to support you, people who are going to hold you up, and let you know that you got this. It's a new beginning, it's a fresh start. And because, as you rightfully said, well, that trauma comes in emotional, physical, on different levels,
Yes.
right? Mental. And when you go through something, you never be the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there is where resilience, there is where the strength, determination, and courage. But the only way you can able to get all of that, if you of yourself are not able to have that built within you, then there is where the people comes in who say, you got this, I'm here for you, whatever you need, and really mean it,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And really mean it, say, I've got your back, it's okay, whatever you need, I am here. And when someone could tell you that very profoundly and said, whatever you need, I'm here, then you can rest easy that you have that support system to rally around you, to help you to make your recovery. You've been through so much through your trauma, but they're the people that they empower you, right? They empower you so that you could walk through your recovery. They can help you to walk through the recuperation phase. For me, when I was hospitalized, I had to go through recuperation phase, and I had to remind myself who I am. And your life is being repurposed in those moments, because what happened, when how did incident happen for you, you never come out the same, right? You have more clarity who you want to become after. That is why I always say, is not the fall, but the rise after. What is the next step for you after that moment, when you come through
Yeah.
recovery, when you recuperate, and you're standing strong and you're standing tall again? Who am I? And what am I going to do with what I've been through? Because there is a lesson that you learn through that phase, right? You're stronger, you're better because you healed through that
Mhm.
incident. And what do you have to give more, right? You're inspired more because you've been through something. You've been through something traumatic, right? And what is it going to take for you to be strong? That is why it's important to take time to heal. Don't rush through the phase, right? You
True.
you can't rush through this thing. You
No.
got to take your time, show yourself grace. I
Mm-hmm.
had to do that. I show myself grace because the person who I was. And that is why it's so important that the life you live, it's important, because I was able to go to my meditation. I was able to bring my spiritual self in groundedness and remind myself who I am, so that I could stay strong for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I have the support system. I have my sister, my brother-in-law, great friends, and every single thing. But I have to be strong for myself. I have to
Absolutely.
remind myself who I am. And that is what got me through it. And I regain back my strength, my energy, my vibration. And but you constantly have to remind yourself. And when you look back, because looking back is very empowering too, because you look back and see, I have survived that.
Mm-hmm.
And you look where you are now, and it
Mm-hmm.
only propel you forward, that you know that. And that's why those things is good that we share stories, because we can empower others, that
Yes.
what you go through or what you've been through, your past does not define you. Yeah, you may go through trauma, because we all go through some shape or form of trauma. But what you do is that you come through, you take time for yourself. And that is why there's one part you spoke about, Will, that you have to avoid the negativity, because those are things going to bring you down, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to able to people who can infuse positivity in you, who can remind you who you are, and remind you that I've got your back. I'm supporting you. You can do this. And when you have that level of support, the level of community, then it's where that you can able to now move forward, propel forward, and you can start soaring again. You can start gain your wings again, and you can start to create impact in the world. But take time for you to heal. Don't rush it through the space.
Yeah.
Do not rush it. Take time, show yourself grace. Don't hurry the process,
No.
because you want to able to move to the level of completion. So when you heal, yes, you might remember it. It's just become part of your story. Well,
Oh,
Woo,
that's good.
that's good.
Ooh, yeah. You know, shows like this or like these that you guys are doing, these are the shows that connect with people now where they are currently because, like I mentioned at the top of it, we have so much chaos going on that people are trying
Yes.
to find bits and pieces of themselves to hold this thing together, make it through. And so shows like this are important because the people who need this type of message will find because they're looking. But you know, it's a
yeah,
lot of noise out there. But
right.
when they find shows like this is what they're looking for to help put them back together, as you mentioned, that hold them together because they need something that speaks to their spirit.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what we, you know, the spirit aspect of where we are right now. And I want to mention this since you led me into that, Lady Joan. Uh,
Thank you.
the Silicon Valley boys, the big tech, what they're doing right now with online is they're trying to flip this, okay? Because we talk about spirituality all the time, but we talk about it in a different context. But we're in the
Right.
spiritual era now, right? So what they're trying to tell people, and they're gradually doing this. If you look real carefully, you'll see that our lives have flipped to online. They're trying to tell you now that reality is online and what you see in the material world is the experience. So they're
Right.
flipping it. They're trying to tell you what's real is online. And then what's not, what you see in the real world on a daily basis, that's not real. Now, we know because we've discussed this before, and this is where we are with science too. We know that the material world that we visually see, yes, that is not real. But we're not trying to tell you that if you go online, that is your reality because
Right.
we are already living the spiritual aspect of what we are. So what they're trying to tell you is AI and the online world, all of that is all you need from now on. And if you go outside, well, just experience that and then come back home and, you know, go online and on your phone online, and that's reality to you.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get people in that mode because we're gradually doing it right now. People are dependent on their AI to get information from it, to believe
Right.
in it, and follow it. So it's not that difficult any longer because we are shifting as a society globally into buying into that setup. So everything that we're talking about is related to that type of energy. Because what we're trying to do is tell you that we want you to experience spirituality, to understand who you really are, what you're capable of doing. But we're doing it in a way to where your physical form realizes that the things that you see in the natural world, to you, you can have a effect on that. You can change things physically too. But your spirit is the wholeness of you. And
Right.
so that's where we're trying to let you know that you are more than what you think you are. You
True.
are complete, and your traumas are just part of, like we said,
Right.
your journey. That's all it is. So
Right.
even if it's something really, really devastating to you, you can come back from that.
Right.
You come back because your spirit is here for the experience.
Experience. Right.
This physical form of you will go away. The spirit of you will obtain that information, and you know, we got different conversations going on. Well, if when you die, do you take any of these memories with you?
Right.
And that's all up in the air whether you do or not. But if you get to a level of spirituality where you let everything kind of soak into you and realize you're a part of everything, you can have bits and pieces of memories that'll let you know that you've seen this before.
Right.
Now, like I said before, you can't share everything with everybody because everybody's not even with you.
Correct.
They're not on the same level with you. So
Correct.
one of the things that you experience and you know, you just know. You can't. You're not here to wake up everybody because everybody's
Right.
not going
Right.
to wake
It's
up.
not
Some
my
people
job.
just here
Absolutely.
to experience it, and that's it. You know,
That's it.
before I give the mic back to you, let me say this because last time Lady K and I did the show, we talked about
And
superpowers.
it was a good show. It was
What
a
the
great
Bible
show
said.
too.
Yeah, it's what the lady said about what the Bible says about you having superpowers, right? Well, let me throw this in on supernatural, okay? Because the Bible speaks of you having supernatural power, but it's not what people think it is either, to a degree, okay? Because you remember you watch movies and so forth, you've been told it's this or that, or it's got to look like this. Okay, Elijah outrunning a chariot was considered a superpower, supernatural, supernatural ability. That's what they considered that. He outran a chariot with a horse, which we know that's not happening, but it might have been a short race too. Right? It might not have been anything but 15, 20 yards so the horse couldn't get all the way up the gallop. But he outran a chariot. They call that a supernatural ability. Now, the context of that, if you take that and you flip it into something that you have a natural ability for, you have a supernatural ability, but you're not using it. So even in the context of what we're talking about right now, trauma, you coming back from that and healing is a supernatural ability.
Mm-hmm.
But you haven't learned how to tap into that because you keep thinking that all this stuff has to be something bigger than what it is because you've been told that you need to see it in a bigger form for you to believe that it's supernatural ability. Now, one other thing that I want to cover in that same aspect, which we got to have a show about this at some point, ladies. But Elijah took a what they call basically a robe. Okay, it's all it's just made out of wool and some silk, and they call that a cloak. Okay, now if he laid this across a river, it could part the river. Now this is something that you just put on a robe. So now psychologically, we know that that's not a cloak, but in the Bible, that's a supernatural ability that he had this robe that they made. And if he laid it across water, the water would part. And we know that that's not possible. We know that. But it's the thought of that makes that a supernatural ability. Because you can't do that in today's time. And he couldn't do it in his time either. But they put it in there as a supernatural ability. There's something that only he and one other person possessed. Okay? But that can't be. So that's why I said that to say this. In your recovery and healing from a deep traumatic wound, let your supernatural abilities be whatever you think you need them to be to get you to where you need to go. If you can do that and actually see it, it becomes real.
It is.
And it works for you. That's all. It just has to work for you, not for the world around you. It just needs to work for you. It becomes your structure, your system. And if it works for you, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter whether anybody else can copy it and do it too. It's you. It's your secret. That's your secret to getting to where you want to go. So that's what I'm trying to tell you is tap into your own self energy and your own imagination and your own agency of who you are, as Lady J mentioned, and you can see things happen for you that's just meant for you. Now, a lot of times you hear people say that, I prayed for abundance or prosperity, and it happened for me. Same concept. But see, so there's no individual something that somewhere just parting this out the way you are and over here no. Yeah, you, but not you. You no, yeah, I'm thinking about you. Maybe next year, maybe. There's nobody doing that. Nothing's doing that. It's
Right.
you.
Right.
It's you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Accept it. Once you fully accept you, you'll realize that you are
Mhm.
more than what you've been told you are.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
once you tap into that belief, now things can happen for you. And it may, and like they both said, it may not happen overnight, but if you continue to
Mhm.
believe that it's possible for you, there are many possibilities in this world. If you continue to believe that that's your possibility, then guess what? Eventually it's going to happen for you. But if you give up, it can't. You might be this close to getting it too. And then,
Right.
you just get up one morning and say, well, you know what? That hasn't happened for me yet.
Right.
And so I can't do that. So you give up. Now, remember, I told the story on the show that we did before. A lady wrote down $112 million on a piece of paper. She said she wanted to win the lottery, and that was her number, 112. Her family told her she was crazy. Never happened. You win $112 million? Get out of here. That's not going to happen. In 3 years' time, you know where I'm going. She won $112 million because she stayed with that belief system. She focused, she wrote it, and she believed it was possible
Manifested.
for her to
Right.
have it.
Right.
Now, the first time that it came up for her, she had a feeling that it wasn't for her. She could see the numbers, and they said that, hey, $112 million, somebody's going to win this. So she went and bought some tickets anyway, but it wasn't her time yet. So when she looked at her numbers, she only had one number that matched what was in the pool, right? So she didn't win it. But she didn't say, you know what, this stuff don't work. She
Right.
she put in the paper that she had 112 million wrote on. She said it wasn't my time. She waited. 2 years later, it was her time. $112 million. Just like she wrote it on that paper and believed that it was possible. It happened.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to tell you is in your healing process, believe that you can heal and you will heal.
Right. Well,
And then everything else that comes with that, the same system. You have to believe it in order for it to take place. If you do, you can pull it together. It'll start to gather around you. Like we say all the time, people and opportunities will start to come into view for you. You'll start to see it. But you have to believe that it's possible for you in order for that to happen. If you got doubt, you can't get it. You can't get it. It won't happen for you because the consciousness can. It's not the thing that's making it happen for you all the way, but it gives you the possibilities.
Right.
And it lets you allow yourself to enter the field of possibilities that it can happen. There are many things out there for you. You exist in different, planes at one time. So all this stuff is possible, but you have to hold on to the belief system in order for it to see it, for it to come to you. So I just want to toss that in because, a lot of times
that was good.
Supernatural abilities, and they think that it's something that they can't have. But I just, showed you in the Bible 2 stories and the people that's doing nothing fantastic, okay? But they call them supernatural abilities in your Bible if you read. And I gave you the scriptures where they were, so you can go read it for yourself. So, but that's how. So that's what I'm saying. Everything is possible for you if you believe it. And if you believe in the Bible, then who are you to doubt what I just told you? You can't compartmentalize. I believe this, but I don't believe that. This happened, and that didn't happen. No, you have to align this stuff. If you align it, then it becomes real, and it can possibly happen.
Yeah.
True. So true, Will. So true. Wow. This was so nice, it's a breath of fresh air for us to really dive into this topic because each one of us give different aspects of how we all can look at our lives and say to ourselves that we can heal.
Yeah.
We can heal. And the beautiful thing in Tea Talk and Transformation, when we tell our clients, we got you, don't worry, we got you, we're gonna hold this space for you. And they would say that, like what Bill said, Are you sure? That would be, are you sure? It's like, yeah, because when they ask that question, you can clearly tell that that individual was disappointed so many times. So now coming into a space and hearing these words again, they got to reassure the self now that, you know what, this person's telling me this. Is this for real? Is this going to happen in this space for real? That these two girls going to hold this space for us so that we can be and experience our transformation. Yes, we will hold that space for you because we created that space for you. So we're going to hold that space for you. So this was a real good conversation because we touched on a lot of stuff this evening. And I hope that the audience, was able to really take away some really good pointers that they can really look at their lives and ask themselves now, I am at the door. It's time for me to open that door to healing. I'm standing right at that door. And it's time for me now to open that door, because the thing is that your life don't move based on your trauma. It moves based on your choices.
Correct. That's good.
Your life don't move based on your trauma.
Right.
Your life moves based on your choices. So whatever choices you're making at this point in time, at this present moment, that is what's going to shift you. That is what's going to take you through the door. It may be difficult for you to turn that doorknob to walk through. But once you turn it, pull it. Once you turn that doorknob, pull that doorknob and start to step into something that it's unfamiliar, it's different, but you need to step in. Trust yourself. Trust yourself without judgment. Trust yourself. Because whatever experience that we go through in life, we all built. We have the capacity to go through that experience. Believe you me. So once you turn the knob, step in. Put in the work, and you will experience the transformation you're looking for. You will experience that transformation. Just put in the work. Some strategies, we touched on a few strategies. You can dance, you can sing, do your breath work. If it's yoga, take a walk in the park. Because all of these things can help you as an individual. Grab yourself a coach, because many times we cannot do it on our own. Grab yourself a coach that can help you through this process, because you need it. You need it. Believe you me, you need it. It's not easy. We know it's not easy. But if you keep telling yourself this is hard, it's going to get more hard.
Okay.
You got to tell yourself, I can do this. I can do this. Trust yourself. Do not give up on yourself. Trust yourself. You have the ability to do this right now. Trust yourself. And before I toss the mic to Lady J to take us out, I just want to leave one question with you. What is the benefit of staying exactly where you are right now?
That's a good one.
What is the benefit of staying exactly where you are right now? What does staying in the current state protect you from? What does staying in the current state protect you from? Just ponder with these two questions as you move through the night, as you move through. Don't hurry to answer it. Let it rest. Let it rest. But just keep reflecting on it. And as you reflect on it, write the way how you feel. I'm going to toss the mic now to Lady J. Take us out.
Wow, that was good. That was good. You, Karen and Will, that was really. I think what we did tonight is that we empowered.
Yeah.
We empower. We fill the space with empowerment. And one thing I want to say is that that people can say that what happened to me is not my fault, but I choose healing. I choose peace. I choose growth. I choose freedom, and I honor my journey, and I've give myself permission to heal. Give yourself permission to heal tonight. Give yourself permission to experience the joy. Give yourself permission so that you can able to live and live fully and live the life you deserve so that you can evolve, and not only evolve, enjoy the level of bliss. Love yourself. Practice self-care. Eat the right kind of food that can nourish you, that can help you to fill yourself up with moving away from brain fog. But live the life that you can make that level of impact that you so desired. And you don't have to just surviving. You can thrive. But you got to put the work in between. What stand between surviving and thriving? There is where you got to put the work in so that you can live your best, and you can live the best life you deserve, and people can able to experience your best. So yes, the work might be hard, but show yourself grace, because you have what it takes to get the job done, and choose you.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say one thing before we popped off here. An article just coming here to me from my country, Guyana, and they're saying that Guyana makes history with longest distance telesurgery. So could you imagine a doctor just trusting his ability that he can do that telesurgery from Guyana till to India? That surgery happened. Could you imagine that? So it clearly tells you where technology is going.
Right.
That would be another subject.
Well, you're going to handle that very well.
Oh, we'll do good as a show like that. Let me say this before we close the show. Look, when the three of us get together on a show, it's a triangle, and that energy just cycles through that triangle. I mean, so I'm pretty sure the audience, asked the same question at some point that we probably ask ourselves among ourselves. At some point, we may have to do a series of shows together.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, we've never really given any thought. We're talking about this on air, but we've never given any real serious thought to that. But it may be something that's where we're being put into a position to do something like that. If we connect with people as a group, and people that may be what they need. So
yes, well.
Yeah, so true. Well, so true. Well,
you're so right. You're so right.
This was a good show, and I'd just like to say, I enjoyed it, and thank you for.
We enjoyed having you here too. Yeah.
It's always a true, or you always expand our toolbox.
They're saying Guyana would now establish an international training hub for robotic surgery in collaboration with the SSI Mantra ecosystem.
Yes, as it should.
There you go.
Could you imagine that?
That's evolution right there.
That's evolution. Yes, that is evolution.
Forward thinking. Forward thinking.
Yes. Woo, this was good.
But it was good. But something just dropping is like, in order to heal and everything we spoke about, your mindset, you have to be able
Yes.
to have the right kind of mindset that
Mhm.
you can let new things in to help you to move forward. Just want to
Yes.
say that.
There you go.
Well,
Thank you all. Have a wonderful. We're gonna see
no,
you guys
will you want to
Sunday.
say? Will you want
No,
to
I
say
was just,
something?
I was just gonna say good night. That was it.
Yeah. Have a good night, Will. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a
All right,
lot.
Bye.
It's
thank
always
you.
a true joy. And
We'll see
thanks
you
to
next time,
everyone.
people.
To the audience, thank you so much as well.
Yeah.